What's up, guys? This is Justin, and I have a great episode in store for you today. Are you a parent? Do you have kids that you're raising and you want to make sure that you raise them right to make the right decisions when they get older? Then definitely tune into this episode. I got some great things to share with you. Don't want to miss it. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Justin Ford podcast, where I'll be releasing life-changing principles and valuable information focused on all things faith, finance, family, fitness, real estate, and so much more. Let's go! What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Justin Ford podcast. Super excited to be with you here again today. I hope you've been doing great since the last episode. And if you're loving the show, do me a favor. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button here on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. And if you're really loving the show, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review. If you haven't followed me yet on social media, you can at the Official Justin Ford. Again, at the Official Justin Ford. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, X, and also here on YouTube. I got a great episode in store for you today, but before we get into that, I do want to remind you that this episode is brought to you by my friends over at Nextdoor Lending. Nextdoor Lending is a team of professionals that believe everyone should be treated as if they live next door. The founders and team members have more than 150 years of combined loan experience, helping clients all over the country choose the best loan program to help you accomplish your goals. Nextdoor Lending is currently licensed in over 26 states and has a team of over 100 loan officers specializing in helping you get the best rate and terms. And so whether you're looking to refinance your home or you're looking to purchase your next home, call my friends over at Nextdoor Lending today at 888-885-3667 or visit their website at nextdoorlending.com. I'd say one of the greatest things that I get to do is to be a dad. And I've been on this journey of being a parent now, believe it or not, for coming up on 25 years. My daughter is going to be 25 years old this November. I've got a son who just turned 22. I've got a daughter who just turned 19. And then I've got a son who's 12 years old. And you know, nobody really can prepare you to be a parent until you become one. Like you can go through parenting classes. You can, have some great parents who kind of showed you what to do and what not to do. But until you're actually a parent, it's definitely a learning process and definitely a learning curve. And, I've been grateful to be on this journey over the last almost 25 years. And I've learned a lot. I've made a lot of mistakes as a parent. I've done a lot of great things as a parent. And, one of the things that I've really always been 100% focused on as my biggest goal as a parent and my biggest prayer as a parent is that my kids would serve the Lord. I mean, there's nothing greater, I believe. And I know not everybody believes in the Lord. Not everybody follows, faith or Christianity or has a relationship with Jesus. Totally fine. But for me, when I became a Christian at 19, like my whole goal when I was 19 years old, I already had Angelina. She was 1 at the time. And then when I got married to Joy and we started to have more kids, my heart's prayer and commitment and determination was I'm going to raise kids who were way better than me and who will love the Lord. And I'm thankful that all of my kids love the Lord and have a relationship with the Lord. And if it just ended there, I did my job. But at the same time, there's so much more to teach your kids and to raise your kids and to, show your kids. And, when I became a parent, I was 18 years old. I had Angelina when I was 18, and I had no clue on what to do, especially as an 18-year-old to be a dad. I was messed up. It was before I became a Christian. It was when my life was messed up. I was doing drugs, selling drugs, drinking, partying. The last thing I wanted was to be a dad because that wasn't in my plans. And so I don't want to say forced, but I made the decision, obviously, that resulted in, getting a girl pregnant and then being a dad. And I had to begin to learn how to be a dad at a very young age, and eventually got custody of Angelina when I was 22. She was 4 years old. Met Joy shortly after that. Joy had Emilio. He was 1 at the time. So I had 1, Joy had 1. We had Tierra after we had gotten married, and then we had Judah. And so, man, it's been a lot, right? The dynamics of parenting, having having a blended family with Angelina and Emilio, with Joy and I, and then obviously raising two together, raising all four, but having two together, Joy and I. And I realized that, the three older ones, Angelina, Emilio, and Tierra, my whole focus as a parent was to give my kids a better life than I had. Not that I had a bad life, but I wanted to give them something better than I had. And I believe as parents that we should. Being able to create enough resources and finances to be able to put them in private school, pay for their college, give them a life where they didn't lack. They didn't lack the things that they needed. And I'm so thankful that God blessed Joy and I to be able to do that. But then after getting to that point, I realized that there's not just that, but there's so much more that you have to prepare, your kids in. And I feel like I missed out on some things in doing that for my three older ones just because of I didn't know. But with Judah being my 12-year-old son, I've been for the last year, now that he's 12, and now that he's becoming a young man and on this journey to manhood over the next 6 years, is really coming up with a plan to help him go from where he is to becoming a man and being super intentional about it. Last year, I read this book called The Intentional Father, and the Intentional Father book talks about how to raise and mentor a son to become a man. And this book really spoke to me. It really hit me in my core because, again, if I could go back, and I'm sure most parents would say this, if I could go back and do some things different with my three older ones, I definitely would have. I would have invested more time in specific areas. I would have, taken more time in specific areas. But again, I can't change that. So I have an opportunity with Judah, and I believe God's given me this opportunity to really be intentional, an intentional father with him and what that looks like. And so when I went to JH Ranch last year, I talked about JH Ranch last year. If you want to learn more about it, you can go listen to the episodes from last summer, probably, in the August, I believe it was in the August episodes of last year. And when I was there, they're really big on the same thing, like taking, your kids and bringing them through a process. And so they gave this little map where I'm showing you on the screen. If you're listening, you won't be able to see it. But in this journey talks about taking our kids from, the time that they're born until 18, which is, really when they start to become an adult, right? Going from, let's say, school off to college or to the army or, to whatever. And with a plan to follow through that process, which again, most of us didn't have a plan when our kids were born. We just did our best. We did maybe what some of our parents did and tried to do things better, maybe did things different, but we didn't really, a lot of us didn't really have a plan. And so I've been on this journey with Judah, and I made this decision last year that when he turned 12, that we would begin to create a plan to move him forward. And I love what the plan that I learned at JH Ranch talked about, where, from 0 to 5 years old, we're basically caretakers, right? For our kids, we're the protector, we're the provider, and we really are covering them in prayer. And then from 5 to 12 years old, we're like the cop, right? Telling them what to do, not to do. We have to teach them, train them, discipline them. We're still covering them in prayer. But then when they turn 12 and then move into that 17, plus role, we become what it calls the coach, where we're teaching, we're modeling, we're encouraging, and we're still praying. But this is where we begin to take them on this journey of becoming, in this case, I'm talking about my son, young man, and then eventually an adult. And so about a month ago, Judah and I told Judah, I've been telling him that we're going to create this journey and this plan to take you into manhood. And I got this concept out of the Intentional Father book, but then from God really speaking to me. And so it's really being able to take a young man and teach him the things that he needs to know along the way. And I love my dad, and my dad did the best that he could, but there were a lot of things that he didn't know that he couldn't teach me. And so there's so many things that I've learned over the last 20 plus years in my journey that I am intentionally teaching Judah over the next 6 years. And so we started this about a month ago, and we're on this journey. And what we're doing is we're meeting once a week, and we are learning specific things that are so important for Judah to know, and I believe even young men to know on their journey. And then, at 13 years old, and I know Jewish people really practice this, and it's become such a powerful thing in their culture, where at 13 years old, there's a bar mitzvah, which is like the rite of passage, where basically young men are being acknowledged as men, right? They're choosing to step into this role of responsibility. I'm not a little boy anymore. I'm becoming a man now. And I know a couple of other cultures do very similar things. And so at 13 years old, we're going to be doing this rite of passage for Judah, where it's a special ceremony, and it basically teaches him and it's preparing him that, listen, you're stepping ahead. You're not a little boy anymore. You're stepping into manhood. And it's like an acknowledgement, and it's a mindset shift, and it's a preparation for moving things forward. And so I'm on this journey, and we've gone through multiple lessons, and it's things that I think are so important that you should be teaching young men. And one of the lessons that we did was, and it was perfect because Judah and I had a little, I don't want to say an incident, but there was a little something that happened that I had to teach Judah in that moment and correct him. And it wasn't like an angry moment, because I also believe that when you're angry with your child and you're trying to force discipline, spank and all these things, which I believe are important. But when you start to get to a certain age, this is why it talks about you're going from being a cop to a coach. And it was this moment that I could teach Judah some things about, honesty. And here's what we talked about a couple of weeks ago. The lesson was character, integrity, and honesty. And the name of this manual that I'm creating is called The Father's Guide to Discipling Sons into Manhood, Purpose, Authority, and Legacy. So we're teaching Judah these things, and we talked about character. What is character? We're using, references in the Bible of positive examples, negative examples. We talked about integrity and what is integrity. We talked about honesty and what does it mean to be honest. And then, we talked about why these character traits matter. And then I created some reflection questions for Judah, like, why do you think character is more important than talent or ability? Can you think of a time when you had to show integrity even when no one was watching? Why do you think God takes honesty so seriously? And what kind of reputation do you want to have as a young man of God? And then we're going through some scenarios together, which is a little activity. I give a declaration that we can say out loud, and then a prayer for the day. And what's awesome is when you have young sons, especially, and this is going to be something I believe is going to be a manual that I create in a book that I create one day for fathers and sons, it's because either as dads, we're going to mold and teach our kids, or the world is going to do it. And I don't know about you, but just turn on some music, turn on the TV, go on social media, and see what the world has to offer our sons and even our daughters. It's our job, especially as dads, as leaders, as role models, as protectors, providers, all of these things, to lead our children and our sons how to be respectable men, how to be men of character, integrity, and honesty. And if we don't do it, the world is going to, I'm telling you right now, the world is going to teach our sons on what type of young men to be. And I'm telling you, they're not going to teach our sons the right way. Okay. And so I just, I wanted to share this with you because I believe that there's some people that are listening to this right now, maybe of younger sons or younger children. Sometimes we get caught up in busyness. We get caught up in, pursuing success. We get caught up in, especially if you're in the real estate industry, man, this could be a 24/7, 365 type business. And it will be unless you create the boundaries in it. And I always heard somebody say, you make time for what matters to you. And in this season of my life, this time, this opportunity that I have with Judah at 12 years old over the next 6 years is top priority. Like, it is in my most, outside of my relationship with the Lord, outside of my relationship with my wife and my other kids, Judah is my priority, to disciple him and to train him and to mold him into becoming the young man and eventually the man of God that he's been called to be. And obviously, I can teach him, I can't force him. But the Bible says this: train up a child in the way they should go, and when they're older, they won't depart from it. Okay. So again, I'm saying this to dads, but I'm also saying this to moms too. We have a job to do. It is our job to raise sons and daughters to be, sons and daughters of character, sons and daughters of integrity, sons and daughters who are honest, but in so many other things. And I'm just, this is a little binder. It's small right now, but I'm building out this binder and this manual for the next 6 years. And it's going to be different activities that we're going to do, different challenges that we're going to do. And I saw the impact when I read this book called The Intentional Father. The guy talks about the journey he took his son on. Powerful. And I want to encourage you, maybe go get that book. Again, it's called The Intentional, let me pull it up here. The Intentional Father, a practical guide to raising sons. Okay. This one is, again, specifically for sons. But again, there's obviously, it's no different. We need to be able to do the same thing with our daughters. But I'm so excited for this journey, man. When I look at my son, Judah, he gets straight A's in schools. He's an athlete. He loves the Lord. He's respectable, incredible kid. I don't just say that because he's my son, but he is an incredible kid. And I often think of what would I have been like, or what would it have been like if I could have grown up in a home where mom and dad were both present, mom and dad were both serving the Lord, mom and dad were teaching me the things that I needed to know. And I'm thankful because God allowed me to get to this point. He used what I went through to bring me here, where I'm at in my life today. And I don't regret that. I wouldn't change anything. But what would it have looked like if I would have had that firm foundation and that upbringing? And so I can't go back and change that, but I can give that to my son. And I'm so excited about that. And so I want to encourage you today. And this is something that I'm really taking serious. God is doing some really cool things in my life right now. He's teaching me things. And again, he's teaching me these things so that not only that I can take my own son through it or other areas of my life, but so that I can create an opportunity to help other people. Because I heard the statistics. It's ridiculous. When I had Angelina, when I went to jail, they made me go through some parenting classes because I was a young parent. I remember hearing 86 or 90% of men who are in prison, dad wasn't present. Girls who get pregnant underage or turn into strippers, prostitutes, or are out there just really sexually active, dad wasn't really present. People who are committing all sorts of crimes and murders and shootings and all these things, dad wasn't really present. And the devil has done a really good job to try to attack and remove the dad out of the house to raise children, because God created each role vital: dad, mom, father, mother, the importance of that to give a child what they need to raise them. And I feel like God's really going to be calling me and using me to help bridge the gap and to really turn the hearts to the fathers back to the sons and to the sons back to the fathers, which is what the Bible talks about. And I'm really, really super excited about that. So with that said, feel free to reach out. If you have any questions, if you're interested in learning more for the journey that you can take your own, son down or on, or if you want to just whatever, ask any questions, feel free to reach out. You can find me at the official Justin Ford. Shoot me a DM, shoot me a message. I will surely answer, because I'd love to, encourage you and help you with where you are, and maybe give you some advice and maybe point you into some directions of resources that I'm tapping into that could help you as well. And it's never too late. Maybe your son's not 12, maybe your son's 15, maybe your son's 20. It's never too late to bridge the gap and make things right. And I want to definitely be able to help you to do that. So if you know somebody else that could benefit from this podcast episode, feel free to share it. Definitely reach out to me. I'd love to connect with you and really help you on this journey with your children as well. So wanted to share this episode with you. If you're loving the show, like I said, go ahead and hit the subscribe button here on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. You can feel free to follow me at the official Justin Ford. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, X, and also here on YouTube, and would love to connect. And before I wrap up today's episode, I do want to remind you that this episode is brought to you by my friends over at Nextdoor Lending. Nextdoor Lending is not just a sponsor of this show. They are our official mortgage lender of the Justin Ford real estate team, my personal real estate team. And we entrust all of our buyers with Nextdoor Lending. They have a perfect A+ Better Business Bureau rating, over 1,000 5-star reviews. And so if you're listening right now, you're looking to get pre-approved this year and purchase a home, call my friends over at Nextdoor Lending. If you own a home, looking to refinance, take some cash out, maybe lower your interest rate, call my friends over at Nextdoor Lending. Or if you're a real estate agent looking to partner with a great mortgage lender, call my friends over at Nextdoor Lending. Tell them I sent you. Their number is 888-885-3667, or visit their website at nextdoorlending.com. 2 things I always like to leave you with. Number 1, it's not how you start. What matters is how you finish. And number 2, with God, all things are possible. God bless you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.